That's not good.
My throat is still sore, bitch.
Allergies are beating our ass recently. Truly.
I just want to wake up without a sore throat. That's my
Same.
wish.
I want to wake up without a runny nose.
Mm-hmm.
Allergies have really been. I want to wake up without depression.
Yeah.
I want
to. Dreams.
Yeah.
Bucket list. Honestly.
Truly.
Bucket list.
Truly dreams. But
yeah.
Anyways, welcome to She Knows It. Our first actual episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if things are a little like jank, they'll become less jank as time goes on.
Yeah.
We promise.
And just let us know in the comments if you want to change anything.
Yeah.
We're taking suggestions. We're learning.
We are open. We are open-minded.
Very open.
Very so open-minded. But today, we're talking about something that has been festering, feeding off of my brain cells.
Oh, same.
Nickelodeon drama. Not just drama, it's dangerous. Swoop. Not just, a little, like, dramatic thing. Like, literally, like, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And confirmed. Some of these are, like, they were literally passed in court. Horrible, heinous things that happened on the Nickelodeon sets. So we're just going to be talking about that for fun. And just Nickelodeon in general.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a Nickelodeon girly were you growing up?
I was more of a Disney girly than a Nickelodeon girly.
Same.
But I definitely watched Zoe 101 was my show.
Mm.
That was what I watched a lot. Mm-hmm. A little bit of iCarly, but that was when I was older.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really too much into it. But then once, because I knew about the Nickelodeon drama, especially Amanda Bynes, years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like years ago was when I first learned about all that, and then learned about her whole history in the acting world. And so then that's when I went back and started like watching it. Mm-hmm. And that's when I kind of like got into Nickelodeon a little bit more, just out of like pure curiosity.
Yeah.
But then after this year, especially like the past month, with the documentary coming out and like the hype and like the talking about it and everything, that's when I kind of like deep dived a little bit more, not necessarily watching Nickelodeon, but just looking more at Nickelodeon as a whole. I
get you. Okay. Mm-hmm. I grew up with Victorious a lot. Like Victorious was like the show I watched. That was a Nickelodeon show. I was more of like a Cartoon Network Disney kid growing up.
I was a Boomerang.
Boomerang. Wow, that really like dragged out of my memory.
I was a Boomerang girly.
Wow.
I watched that more,
Wow.
Definitely Teen Titans Go, though.
Teen Titans Go, Adventure Time. I watched those types of shows a lot. But on Nickelodeon, I started with like Victorious and iCarly. My sister loved Nickelodeon. So I think I kind of got like the after effects of her watching them more than I watched them myself. Like I never watched Amanda's show or all that because of my own just like choice to turn it on. But as like a really young kid, I have memories of hearing the Amanda show intro song as I'm like in the living room because my sister was watching it. So like I know like the lore because I was like, it was like grandfathered into, is that the saying? That's not the saying because I inherited it. That's better.
Yeah, like passed down.
Yeah, it was passed down from my sister more than I just experienced it like organically myself. I did watch like the very beginning of like Sam and Cat when it first came out, but then I didn't watch any. And then my fiance, oh my god, it's public now. I know, right?
Big word.
My fiance, his brother really loved Sam and Cat, his little brother. So like I watched, like I like observed it because he was watching it. So like I've always kind of been exposed to Nickelodeon in one way or another, but not as like heavily as I think some kids were. I was definitely more of like a Disney and Boomerang, forgot that existed, in Cartoon Network kid. But I also liked Nickelodeon a lot. Drake and Josh was another show I watched growing up, but that was again a show that my sister watched, and therefore I watched. So Yeah, but my sister was a Nickelodeon kid, and so she and I have been talking about this topic. And also, if you guys haven't seen the documentary yet, Quiet on Set, we're going to be referencing it a lot. You don't have to have watched the documentary to watch this episode.
It's a hard watch, I will say.
It's a hard watch, yeah.
The documentary is not for everyone. Use discretion when you're picking to watch it. And if you're wanting more of a censored version of it, but still knowing it, the content creator we were mentioning earlier, Swoop, has an amazing breakdown of it all, and she kind of goes more into Amanda Bynes' backstory in it, but it's, I think, more digestible than the actual documentary.
Yeah, the actual documentary it's a lot. It's stuff that it's the first time that we've ever been fully exposed to what happened to Drake Bell. The heinous acts that happened to Drake Bell, as well as the awful people that were on set that were not Dan Schneider. Because I feel like a lot of the time when people talk about like Nickelodeon stuff, they're like, Dan Schneider is the devil. And it's like, well, there were a lot of other horrible people on set. I'm not like, not making excuses for Dan. Like, fuck Dan.
Yeah, like, no. Also, your discretion here, and like just a warning, a lot of stuff we're going to be saying is alleged.
Everything's allegedly alleged. Besides what happened to Drake Bell, that was confirmed. Yeah, that went through court.
Yeah.
So
and then but a lot of the other things are just alleged.
They're just alleged. Don't sue us, Dan.
Yeah, they're alleged. They're just things we've heard.
Truly just observed this information, and we are regurgitating it. That's all. Exactly. Rumors.
Exactly.
So
rumor mill. It's fine.
Yeah. So okay, we were talking about this a little bit before we started the podcast episode, and then we were like, we should just do an episode on this. Victorious. We were talking briefly about. We were like, oh, we loved, what's the song? Take a Hint. And the other one that Jade sings to Beck, I forget what it's called. It's like You Push Me Back Harder, whatever that was. You Don't Know Me, that's what it's called. Sorry, it was playing in my head. I was like waiting for it to get to the chorus. So we were talking about like those songs, and I was like, oh, fun fact, did you know like Liz Gillies, which is the actress for Jade West, she wrote or I've seen this online, at least. I have not fact checked this, so it might be not right, but I've heard that she's the writer of You Think You Know Me, or You Don't Know Me, or whatever it's called, which is a bop, a great song. My favorite songs from Victorious were the Ariana Grande and Liz Gillies songs. They by far were my favorite, which, no tea, no shade, as Tori's actress has said, they're all talented. But Ariana and Liz were like just like a different breed. That and Andre's actor.
Yeah.
They were all very talented, but like especially them. But
I mean, you could also just see their raw vocal range a lot of the time, like
exactly
off of Victorious, like they're just own career independently. Yeah.
But I didn't know this till recently, but Liz Gillies, the actress for Jade, for those for those not keeping up, take notes. She was, okay, hold on, let me fact check this real quick. Who did Liz Gillies date at 15? I know she dated someone at 15 years old who was not a minor. I think it was a 19-year-old stage director.
Which, side note, that was something that I didn't know, but I watched a couple of documentaries. This was like just yesterday while I was just doing some of my projects for my class, and it was like, it started with Amanda Bynes, and that she was dating older men since she was like 14 or 15, and they were like full adults full adults. No one stopped her. No one did anything.
Okay, I found where I saw this.
Okay.
Real quick. So, okay. So, August 2020, it seems like, she married her husband. She was 27. He was 47. So there's a 20-year age gap between them, according to resetera.com.
Okay.
Let me just Liz Gilly's husband, because they met when she was 17. And that's why it's really weird.
Yeah.
And she was obviously like exposed to, her husband, Michael Kokorin, is 51 years old now. And she is, how old is Liz Gillies? She's 30. Gulp. Gulp. Like, no shame. They're married. They seem happily married. It's just a very strange pattern to see the fact that she was on set at a, at a production company, I guess is a good way to put it, that was filled with predators, allegedly. No, confirmed. There were two confirmed predators, sex offenders. Confirmed. So,
And then with Amanda Bynes,
everything that happened with Amanda Bynes, everything that happened with Drake Bell, everything that happened with, a lot of these actors.
It's a pattern.
It's a pattern. And so when you see those patterns.
Two might be a coincidence. Three's a pattern.
And now that you know that she met her now husband at 17 on set of Victorious, that's a little funny. That's a little strange. That's a little.
It's odd.
Strange. So if she was 17, he would have been like 37.
Yeah.
So they're 20 years apart.
Yeah.
So she was 17. And she met a 37-year-old person that was working at Victoria's. Like, I love Liz Gillies. I love Liz Gillies. She is so talented. I think she is so funny. People have said that I sound like her in my audios, and I'm always flattered. I am always flattered. But that's a little suspicious. You got to understand where we're coming from with that, Liz. You're not watching this, but like, if you are, no shame, but you got to understand where we're coming from with this. After everything that's come out, you and your husband being 20 years apart, a little sus. There's that.
20-year age gaps.
That's wild.
Are fine when you are both an adult.
Even then, it's like, I feel like you should be over like 25.
Yeah. Even then, it's
like, if you're fresh 18,
once your brain is fully done,
once your frontal lobe's done cooking,
then that, but like 17, if you still have teen anywhere near your age, it's a little age you're dating should be touching.
No shame to the younger one. That is fully on the older one. That is weird. If you are attracted to a 17-year-old and you are 20 years older than her, that is a you problem, not a them problem.
No.
Not at all. I don't care if they're mature for their age, bitch. That's not a good excuse.
20 years. As someone who is 20, going to be 21 later on this year,
they would have been
could not
born.
I couldn't imagine somebody that's 40. I can't.
My dad is like,
that's
like 10 years older than that.
Pretty much old enough to be my father.
They are,
So I don't know, but that's just my opinion. That's just me. That's just me.
That's just me. It is a very strange pattern, and I don't think anyone's talking about it because like they're a happily married couple. They're like a happily married couple, according like from the outside perspective. But it is a little strange. I know she's a very busy woman. She's she's still acting. She's in Dynasty, I believe. She's still releasing music. I have never seen it, but I need to watch it because I've heard really good things about it.
It's good. It's like a messy drama show. I love it.
Okay, I love that.
It's a good watch. It's a great watch by cooking. Amazing.
Okay, cool. But so like I know she's like still doing stuff, so maybe it's just like they both live very active lives, and so it's not like they're not like in each other's business, you know. They're like they're married, they're happy, they're friends, and they're partners, but like they're not like, because I feel like when you're constantly around your partner and you're that far in age, it's like even more of an opportunity for the fact that there's such a big gap in your age to make problems. But that's neither here nor there. We're not marriage counseling Liz Gillies and her husband. We're just saying that there is a very strange pattern with Nickelodeon stars getting together with older people
as a whole.
Yeah, because like Amanda Bynes, she was also, when she was 18, she was dating like a 38-year-old, which is another.
And even if you want to go back, the first relationship that was really public, she was, I think, 14 or 15, and she was dating, I think it was 20.
It was like a 23-year-old or something like that.
Yeah,
Amanda Bynes dating history. We need like a person to like fact check us on this show.
Yeah, fact check us, because we're still learning, and we're not a true crime podcast, which so we don't have a research team. But going forward, we're probably gonna do some research beforehand too, like facts that we want to bring up.
I know she dated Seth MacFarlane, which he is like, that was the like super big age gap that she dated.
Yeah.
The first one though, that was like, that's weird, that's suspicious. I think it was it Taron Killam?
Sounds familiar. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks familiar. Yeah, he was on Amanda's show, but that's besides the point. But yeah, she's dated people that are very much older than her. She also has a lot of stuff going on in her life. We're not here to speculate what diagnosis she has or anything like that. I honestly she's
even went on the record. She's even went on the record, and a lot of her, not using this as an excuse for her, but a lot of her very wild, problematic behavior was because of substance abuse.
Yeah.
And
she's a victim in the core.
Yeah. And then just everything going on with specifically Dan Schneider and her just kind of perpetuated that. And that kind of was I think like one of the first times where she kind of explained it was in one of the interviews. I think 4 or 5 years ago. She kind of like went into it. And then with obviously this documentary that just came out, it just everyone's revisiting it now.
I think it's wild that I think the reason why they didn't get Amanda on the documentary is because either one, she didn't want anything to do with it. Maybe she just didn't want to even worry about it anymore.
I think she's just stopped involving herself with it, honestly.
I think it's just the overly optimist in me.
Yeah.
I hope that it's like because like, okay, it wasn't to nearly the extent that it is with Amanda Bynes currently, but like Drew Barrymore went through some shit in her youth, and she was a crazy wild child for a while, and now she's like very like, she's like a mom, and like she like has her talk show, which I love. I love her interviews with people. I could see a reality where Amanda Bynes gets the help she needs and is able to make some sort of like the Amanda Show, but it's like a talk show, and like she's an adult and it's her interviewing people that went through similar shit she did. There's also because like there's the problematic tweets she put out that she would then delete, and she would say that she was hacked and stuff. Like that's all like we don't know if she was actually hacked. I doubt it, but like we don't know. But there's also the whole other layer that is the accusations she made on Twitter. These are all alleged. There's no hard evidence. I wish there was, because I would love to know if this is real or not. Part of me believes it, but that's just my personal perspective of everything we've heard about Dan Schneider. But I'm going to use like code words, so you guys read between the lines a little bit here, so that we don't get demonetized on YouTube. She unconsensually stuff happened to her, is what she claimed from Dan, causing her to have to fetus deletus her unborn child. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. We're laughing because I can't say the actual word because YouTube is rude.
Which is stupid.
It's so stupid. It's a thing that we should be able to say.
It's a medical procedure.
It's a medical procedure that is needed in a lot of case scenarios. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But that is something that she, and it was at 13 that she says that happened.
Yeah.
And she obviously was not able to come out about it. I think that because I don't think they got permission to talk about Amanda Bynes very in depth from Amanda. And that's her story to tell if she ever wants to tell it. So I completely understand them like respecting that. But I do think they did say enough. They did say enough to kind of be like, if that did happen, it would make sense. Because they like commented on like the fact that she would spend hours alone with just Dan in his office at the age of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like that entire age range, she was just alone with Dan like a lot of the time. Also, her father and Dan were really close in the beginning. And then something happened. And suddenly her dad was very much like wanted, it was weird because like by the end of her teens she was, one, trying to get emancipated, and two, her dad was like trying to control her more and more, which, and like he didn't like the fact that Dan tried to help her get emancipated, and there was like a whole thing with that as well, which makes me feel like something happened that was a rift between him and Dan, which could have been what Amanda claims happened. You know, allegedly, potentially.
Speculation.
Have
purely
you seen,
just thoughts.
Truly thoughts. Just intrusive thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen Dan's apology and like his interview with the guy that he was an actor on iCarly?
I saw that somebody went on or had an interview posted to Dan Schneider's YouTube channel.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
That's it? Okay, yeah. Then I've seen like clips. Same. I've not seen the full thing.
I haven't seen the full thing. All I've heard is that I don't even think it's worth my time. I don't think that he's redeemable, personally. Yeah. After everything he's done, it's not even just the predatory behavior he has towards kids and like the weird shit he would have kids do on camera. One that really sticks out to me is the like cam girl style like vlogging footage that Ariana Grande did.
My biggest thing was
crazy.
Even like, because mind you, when I was watching like Victoria's iCarly, I was already in my mid-teens, so I was aware of a lot of, you'll find this out more in our Wattpad episode, but I was already very
coming
aware
out next
of
week.
like, exactly, I was already aware of a lot of fetishy.
Tishy.
I don't know if you can say that.
Fishy.
Behavior. Yeah. And so when I was in my teens and I was watching that, a lot of those scenes came across incredibly just did not sit right, especially the feet. The almost childlike responses that Ariana Grande's character would have to those actions was very,
like when she tried to juice
in my
a
teens,
potato.
I was it didn't sit right with me, and then that's kind of when I stopped watching it, honestly. I watched Victorious for the music mainly, but some of the other not as popular episodes I just didn't really watch, or I skipped forward, you know.
One that is wild to me looking back is the Heatwave episode.
Which that one gets referenced a lot.
I think it's one of the worst.
Coverages.
It's one of the worst episodes.
it's just going back and looking at the history, especially a lot of episodes that fully was just 110% in his control.
Mm-hmm.
It was there's definitely a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the Amanda show, on like the pool
The
interviews,
hot tub interviews. Yeah. Those are actually wild.
I get it. You could just excuse that as, oh, it was just chalk television. But even then.
Mm-hmm. It is crazy that got aired.
Yeah.
Prepubescent Amanda Bynes in a hot tub interviewing grown adults. Mm-hmm. Actually wild. Disgusting. Yep. It's, yeah. To branch off of what you said about, like, Victorious, the fact you watched it and you could, like, perceive the fact that this feels weird because you were older. Yeah. I watched it
older than the regular demographic was. I think when they were first watching it.
Mm-hmm. I watched it, I think, when I was like 10. So like I didn't get the jokes. Yeah. You know, they would go straight over my head, which is, it was the intention. It was to go straight over kids' heads. And but did I find myself really liking certain characters to the point where it was like, specifically Victorious, it was like made for like people of all ages, apparently, to be attracted to these characters. Mm-hmm. Like Jade being like the, like, because she was always made out to be like the villain when we were like kids, and then like when you're older and you watch it, so you probably perceive this a little bit more, you realize that she's just like she's scared of being cheated on. And like she's also, I think she was like the beginning of like the goth girl craze for a lot of like our generation.
She is the real life Gwen from Total Drama Island.
Exactly.
And people who grew up with Total Drama Island, because that came out a little bit before Victorious.
Yeah.
You just kind of graduated into it.
Yeah. But like I didn't realize how like fishy sized. We'll just say that. Fishy sized.
Yeah. Fishy
that's sized. That's our code word.
Like, look at the word, decode it a little, and then
you'll know what we're talking about. I how fishy sized those characters were repeatedly. And I didn't realize it. Also, like, there were certain scenes where you could tell that, there were certain scenes where you could tell that like the actors were more okay with it and what actors were less okay with it. And I think there's a reason why, allegedly, this is purely speculation, there feels like a reason why, and we'll be kind of diving into Jennette McCurdy in a second as well, because she has a whole other thing. And I've listened to her the audiobook version of her book. It's amazing, by the way. Highly recommend it. It is a hard read, but if you feel like you can handle it, it's a great read. Very beautifully written, and also a tragic story turned into like something that's very, it's art at the end of the day. It's very artistically done. But I think you could tell kind of what actors were more okay with being fishy sized and what actors were less okay with it. Like Jennette McCurdy, she did not like it at all. But it feels like there's a reason. And also, like, Jade's actress, I don't think she liked it at all. I think she felt uncomfortable with it. There's some behind the scenes footage that Dan posted to his YouTube channel, I think, of like her and Ariana Grande like laughing on the floor, and then her like warning Ariana that Dan is coming. And
I've seen that.
Yeah. And then Ariana kind of plays into it. And Jade is just kind of like, well, Jade's actress, Liz, is just kind of like, what are you doing? Like, why are you playing into it? But I think they were kids, they were minors,
Yeah.
like it's attention, and that there's a reason why grooming exists. Like sometimes when you're given attention from someone older and it makes you feel seen and appreciated, even if it's not the most PG attention you're getting from someone, it can still be intoxicating. It can still be like thrilling. And then there's the opposite of that, where it feels like filthy and disgusting to some people. So I think it's just a spectrum of like how people react
Also,
in those types of situations.
especially in the entertainment industry, no matter your level of entertainment industry, like Hollywood or minor, just working in the industry in any form, there's also that, what's the best way to put this? Almost like the pressure of your career, especially on a child. They're like, if I don't appease this older person that's in charge of me, like the director or scriptwriter, then, my career. Because a lot of times child actors or child dancers or anyone, they have a lot of that pressure to keep their career once they start to build on it.
Yeah, and we should touch on, I'm going to put a pin in that real quick. Just like, we need to come back to child performers, actors, singers, dancers, whatever it may be. We both were them. We both were in the not the on-screen industry, but we both were dancers, and I did musical theater. We were constantly put in those types of situations, not like those types of situations, but like situations where you're supposed to listen to someone that's older than you blindly, and you want to appease them at any cost because you want to make it. It's like your dream. And so you're like, I'll do what you say. We'll talk about that more in a second. I want to really quickly finish up kind of our current topic. Specifically, I want to wrap in Jennette McCurdy a bit. So Jennette, this is all in her book that I'm about to reference. So she was obviously on iCarly, and she had a very weird relationship with acting from day one. Her mom was very abusive, and was just not a great person. Hence the name of her book being I'm Glad My Mom Died. But at that point, she was still on the side of her mom. She went on and off occasionally, but like in the beginning, she was very much on the side of her mom. She just wanted to make her mom happy. And so that leaked into, she wants to make the producers happy. She wants to make the directors happy. She wants to make the casting directors happy. She wants to do whatever she can to make everyone happy and to make everyone like her so that she stays making her family money, because she was the sole provider for a little bit for her family, I'm pretty sure. That or her dad was like kind of working, but like not really working. And she was like most of the income for her family. She grew up not very well off. She grew up poor. And so like it was like a very big shift when she started making money. But she never really liked acting. It was like her mom's dream projected onto her. And then when she finished iCarly, they pitched her having her own spinoff. It was going to be about Sam Puckett, her character on iCarly. And she was like, she didn't really want to do it. She kind of just wanted to be out, but her mom was like, this would be a great opportunity to have her own show. And so she agreed. Then that spinoff became Sam and Cat. So it wasn't just hers anymore. It was hers and Ariana Grande's. And she was also trying to launch her music career around that time. And then she was like, okay, I'll agree to be on Sam and Cat, but I would love to be a producer on the show, so that she starts getting her foot into the producing and writing kind of sphere of being a part of these kinds of things. And Dan said, yeah, we'll make you a producer on the show as long as you're on the show. And so she agreed to be on the show. Ariana was like doing her music career, like starting her music career at that time. So she was like getting like let off the hook for not being there as much. There's like an entire episode where like Ariana Grande's character Kat was like stuck in a box the whole time, and so it was just her voice because she literally wasn't on set. And so they would make like exceptions for Ariana but not for Jennette. So that obviously made a lot of butting heads. But I think another thing that may have made their their viewpoint of everything not click is she had been like verbally abused by Dan Schneider, or the creator. She says the creator in the book. She does not say Dan. So this is all alleged. I think she purposefully left out his name because she did not want to have to worry about a defamation case. But it's like it's Dan, you know, it's like it's Dan. But she's a smart girl, so she did not put Dan's name in it. She said the creator of the show. They had, you know, been erratic with her before in the past, and like some days he would, and this is confirmed in the documentary, like some days he'd come in great, some days he'd come in and he'd be absolutely pissed at everyone. And so she didn't want to work with him anymore, but she was like, you know what, this gets me a production credit, and so it'll help me with my future. And Ariana, I think she was more okay with like, oh, Dan's just Dan. That's the vibe it gave me, at least on the behind the scenes videos. It felt very much like she was in on the joke too. Does that make sense? Like she was, it's just the vibe. It's just the vibe I get occasionally in the behind the scenes videos of like, she's kind of in on the joke that like, oh yeah, this is kind of, you know, fish sizing, but it's kind of funny because the kids won't get it.
No, because see, I
don't know.
Watched a lot of the behind the scenes, so I'm not sure. But from the one that I did see, which was the one where it was the one that we were talking about earlier, where it's like,
Liz and Ariana,
that one. Yeah. That one to me really it was odd because just a normal reaction would have been to be like, oh, okay, you know, and like kind of, I don't know, I guess that's just my response to it, or how I think I would respond to it, and everyone obviously responds differently, but yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen it behind the scenes.
I don't know. This is just purely speculation, and also like, it's like I have nothing against any of these people. They're all victims to different things at the end of the day. And I was not there, so I can't say what happened. It is purely speculation.
And all speculation. Ideas.
Yeah.
Ideas.
But
Twitter field ideas.
I will say that they butt heads a lot, and it felt like Jennette and Ariana, they butt heads a lot on set, and I think they're just very different people. Also, there was just a little bit of envy of like Ariana's music career was taking off and Jennette's wasn't, and she fully says that in the book. She was like, there was envy there, like there was like jealousy, but yeah, so like that's something that is purely my own theory, my own like headcanon. Maybe that happened and made their relationship even worse, because I know now like they seem like they do not
I don't think they talk.
Yeah, no. And they were on a show for like 2 seasons with one another, weren't they? How many seasons does Sam and Cat have? Sam and Cat seasons,
I think it was 2.
Oh, there's only 1 season. I thought there was 2.
Okay.
There's 36 episodes though. That's a lot of episodes for 1 season.
Basically 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's basically 2 seasons. Yeah, but okay, so that's what I wanted to add on to that. If you have anything you want to add on before we move on to our experience being in like a show industry as kids, but if there's anything else you want to say before we move on, feel free.
I was not able to sit through Jennette's book. I was not able to sit through it, so I'm not really 100% sure. I know like details of the book, but I wasn't able to fully like sit down and like read it. But no, I think your vibe reading of that was very, very right. And again, a lot of times child actors stay in positions because it's pushed by the parent or
Yeah.
pushed by.
And it totally could have been that, like, Ariana wasn't okay with it, but her anxious response is to laugh about it and go along with it. That could totally be what it is. I think this is confirmed, another thing that Jennette and her butt heads about was Jennette coming forward about it and Ariana never saying anything. Jennette was offered money, a lot of money, in order to, or a good bit of money rather, to never talk badly about Dan Schneider. She was offered a good little lump of money from Nickelodeon as hush money. She didn't take it.
Which was talked about again in the documentary.
Yeah. She didn't take it.
Yeah.
But I think Ariana did, because she's never said anything about Dan or Nick. So.
Which also kind of makes sense because for a long time, I guess kind of how I read her career, like Ariana's career, was again, allegedly.
Allegedly. Just like
allegedly. A lot of times, it almost seems to me that big companies such as the Mouse and because that company, the Mouse, likes to sue people.
They're sue happy. They love suing people.
But they almost choose who's going to be a star.
There's favoritism.
And then they push
There's favoritism in every single.
Yeah. And then they give them opportunities that launch them. And to me, that kind of read Ariana, especially because of how almost instantaneous she was a star. Which was,
I think it got her connections.
Yeah. And so I think that's also why she probably didn't speak out, because it was, don't, look the gift horse in the mouth kind of thing. And she didn't want to give up her career because of that.
I mean, look at her now. She's dating SpongeBob. No, kidding. She's like one of the most popular pop stars of our generation. Like she made a very big name for herself
right now. So she's a lot of, it's split. And that's also a thing, there's a whole conversation of, can you really distance yourself, break apart the art and the artist? Can you view them separately, view them differently? Some people can, some people can't.
Yeah. It's a personal like discovery you have to make of like, can you be like, oh yeah, Dan Schneider is awful and he produced the show, but watch Drake and Josh, and
consume that content.
Yeah. Can you consume the content made by someone who is not the greatest person? I can, to an extent. There's like certain things where like if they're an actor and I absolutely hate them, sometimes it's really hard for me to watch something that they're in because I know who they are realistically outside of that. But if they're behind the scenes, like if it's a writer who's like awful or a producer that's awful, I find myself being able to separate it. I try not to line their pockets with any more money if I can. If I can get things, if I already are paying for something that gives me access to that thing, whatever. But I wouldn't like go out of my way and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this thing that they made, Which
also kind of goes into the, I don't know how much you know about it, but the Has Been Hotel drama.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, to me, it's kind of like, okay, there was other people who worked on the show.
Yeah, there's so many talented animators and voice actors that are like, they put their whole heart into it. And that's what I focus on. I don't know much about the specifics of the drama with the creator, Vivsy Pop, I think is her name.
Yeah.
I've heard that they're not like the nicest person. That's all I've really heard. That they're kind of like a bully. But like at the end of the day, it's not just her work. It's the, group of people that made that. And I do think that like it's a really good show objectively. Like even if I could hate someone and still be like, damn, but they kind of made a banger, like damn, but they kind of did really well,
Yeah. Which like I guess in the show, a lot of people consume it without fully understanding it a lot. It is meant to be a shocking show
Yeah, it
because it
is.
covers
It's hell.
incredibly,
It's the
yeah,
worst
it's
people.
hell. Yeah, and so and that's a lot of the drama was I think a lot of people are consuming it like they would consume Powerpuff Girls, right?
Powerpuff Girls. What an opposite show.
That was the
Yeah.
first thing I thought of. They were
Powerpuff
consuming
Girls.
it like
Obviously.
that.
Yeah.
Just kind of like oh, some kind of shock humor here and
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
that whole show is based off of criminals, people who deserve to be in hell.
And some
Just
that
the
don't.
worst.
And you can tell they're good people in their hearts, but they're
Yeah.
surrounded by awful people. And so they say things that are not okay to say. Like,
Yep.
at the end of the day, if you're sent to hell in that universe, there's a reason you're sent to hell in that universe. So it's all
And so
about, you know.
I think that was the whole drama. A lot of the drama was,
At least once the show was out, yes, I saw.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I saw a lot about that.
and like it's a lot of split opinions on that and everything. But yeah, that was just like my first thought on being able to separate the artist and the
Yeah,
art.
that's a good that's a good example. That's the word. There we
Yeah.
go.
That was what I thought of, and especially like with Ariana Grande's music. Some of it's good. Some of it's good. I
Yeah.
can't lie.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't
It
agree
is
with
crazy. Her dating life is
but-
crazy. And I mean, she, at the end of the day, she's a victim to Nickelodeon too. So that might have, you know, messed her up a little bit with what she
Yeah.
feels like is love. Also, like, one of her significant others in the past passed away. Yeah. And so there's a whole other thing with that of
Her
like,
whole journey,
you know.
just like no one really knows, and she doesn't talk about it in depth.
She's very
really.
private. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, but so that's
Which,
just
when you're that big, you kind of have to be private because, like, if not, you're going to be constantly scrutinized for everything you
And
do, which she already is. So, like,
she jumped into stardom very young and stayed in
Yeah.
there for
she was
years.
on Broadway in 13 the Musical as a kid. I think that was her first thing. And then from there, she just, like, kept fucking going.
Yeah,
So,
and then once
however, yeah.
it's just constant spotlight. Like I don't think there was ever a time, especially in my teens, where Ariana Grande wasn't one of the talked about celebrities.
Yeah,
next to like
she's always been in
Gomez.
something that I've consumed growing up, like whether that be her music, like her song on the radio, or like seeing her in a show as a kid, or like nowadays it's like she's not just a celebrity, but she's now like she'll kind of has her own like ecosystem online of like people that hate her or love her. And so like no matter how much you
She's
like distance
every single
yourself, you know a little bit about her, no matter how far you are away from liking her.
Even if you're just consuming makeup content, she's in there.
Yeah.
So it's you cannot avoid knowing about her, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of same thing with Selena Gomez.
Oh my god, I love Selena Gomez. I love Selena.
I've never actually tried
yeah.
her makeup products on side note.
I love her blush. Her blush is really good.
I don't wear blush, so that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing a little light version of, I think I wear Hope. But yeah, I have her blush. I used her concealer for a little bit. I did really like it. I got a slightly darker shade than I needed, so like I ended up not using it as much as I was going to. But the formula is really nice. But yeah, I love Selena. I also love the show she's in. Not to get sidetracked or anything.
Isn't the
murder mystery show?
Department?
It's so good. Yeah.
I'm on like the second episode. I kind of watch it when I'm in the mood for it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of twists and turns. I'm on season 2.
Okay,
So,
see,
which
I'm
I
on,
think
like,
season
episode
3 just
2.
came out.
Girl. Oh.
We should watch it together. It's so freaking good.
We like backgrounds when we're playing The Sims.
Wait, yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, that's like side note. Sorry.
Honestly, kind of inspo for the game deal we were talking about making. You know? Kind of that vibe. Anyways, we just constantly do things together. So
There's like
don't
a
worry
million
about
different
it.
ideas in our heads.
Yeah,
So, pardon.
truly.
Also, so now, if you play The Sims, let us know. And like, what's your current household if you have one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I want to know the background because I need to get inspiration because my entire game just deleted and it had like 50 gigabytes of CC that's just gone. So I
Yeah.
need ideas.
We
Any
recovered
ideas?
a lot of it, but not all of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways.
anyways, so on to our experience in the dance world. So you were more
Yeah.
in the like what people perceive as like the ballet world. You were more into that than
Mhm.
I was. I was more into
toes.
musical theater.
Yeah, I dipped my toes into classical ballet, like that whole like prima ballerina world, and then the other side of competition, right? So I dipped my feet into both of them, more so in the prima ballerina world,
Mhm.
but the pressure from both of them are kind of the same.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it was, fortunately, I was surrounded with like really good adults
That's good.
in my career. Now, granted, there was some body comments made towards me
Mhm.
by some of these adults that just did not sit right. But again, you have to understand the culture of ballet is very
Mhm.
deeply rooted in a certain body image.
Mhm.
So, with that was the pressure from a very young age. I started dancing when I was 2.5. Was I think it started probably like 9 years old. Uh, you almost seek out the approval of the teachers more than your own parents because that's your day in, day out. Like
Mhm.
I was dancing almost every day. I was with them the most, you
Mhm.
know? So they had that kind of influence over me. And so growing up in that, when I became a teenager, where you're trying to discover yourself, you're trying to discover who you are, what you think, how you view yourself,
Mhm.
those people hold a huge sway over you, whether that be if you make it or you don't in the career
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and the pressure that I felt, especially in my teens, when I was pressured to make it in my career, because dancers, you have to make it very young because your career only is until you're about 28, maybe
Mhm.
maybe 34 if you're very
And then you
lucky.
have to become a dance teacher if you want to have a career in
Yeah,
dance.
you have to
It's
become a
basically
dance
the only
teacher
option.
or you retire from a big company and go guest star at small
Mhm.
local small town companies. Um, but a lot of times I would find myself in my teens going along with whatever the teachers told me to do,
Mhm.
not really even second guessing, thinking for myself. It was like if they told me to go do it, I would go do it.
Mhm.
And that kind of environment, you don't really realize it if you're in it.
Mhm.
And you're just like, oh, okay, well, they're kind of in charge of my career. Um, and that was the same thing for competitive dance, even more so, actually, I think, for me.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I look at like child actors, it's even more so that
Yeah.
they're going through because, what I was doing, I wasn't getting paid. It was just a voluntary thing. They have the pressure of that keeping the paycheck,
Mhm.
or they have the, I guess, almost addiction to that paycheck and that recognition and the like pat on the back because as a child, most children seek approval.
Mhm.
And so that paycheck can be to them approval or, the people around them are praising them when they get that paycheck or they get that new role, no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I went in when I was viewing the Nickelodeon drama, even some Disney Channel drama, honestly. And every time it's like about a childhood actor or like somebody who started very young, you know, um, even way back when with the Miley Cyrus drama. way, way back when. That's kind of always how I thought about it. And I would always be able to, I guess, understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Obviously not to that degree. But yeah.
It's like a built-in
I would
empathy
say,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like, again, when you are in that career, a lot of people don't understand. It's like, oh, where were the parents? Where are the parents? A lot of times, the parents aren't there.
Yeah. And if
Because
they
the
are,
child,
they want their kid to
yeah,
succeed. And so they want their kid to do what the other adults say. Now,
yep,
sometimes there's different levels to that, obviously. Because like my mom
yeah,
is an amazing mom and she's very protective over her kids and she would do anything to protect them. But I was in positions where my mom would be like, go stand up in front and be the one who does it right the first time.
mhm,
She was a theater mom at the end of the day. Like she was a good theater mom that if I
mhm,
said I'm uncomfortable with this person, she would immediately take me out of the situation, but I didn't say I was uncomfortable with the situation.
mhm,
So how is the parent going to know? Because
yeah,
most of the time you're carpooling with other kids to
mhm,
the for me it was like for these kids it's to the set, but like for me it was to the stage, to
mhm.
practice. um
And a lot of
or
times for
you
me,
are with your parents and they're with the other parents and they're not paying full attention to what's happening behind the
yeah.
curtains, you know.
And
So
for me, it's like I was away at dance camp,
mhm.
like summer intensives. So months I'd be gone, weeks, you
Yeah.
know. And then at the studio, because, you know, a lot of childhood actors are private schooled or homeschooled.
Mhm.
And so you would be at the studio for hours during the day, like a full school day
Yeah.
would be you're at the studio. And so the time with your parents is very limited sometimes. And then some parents chalk it up to, oh, the kid's just being dramatic. Oh, they're just being lazy. They're tired. You know, they don't want to go do it because
Yeah.
they're a kid. Um, and so I don't know, it is like that built-in empathy or that
Mhm.
built-in like understanding that sometimes everything is not all black and white. When it
Mhm.
comes to,
There's a lot of gray.
yeah,
Mhm.
especially with a lot of like the where were the parents in the situation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And like
Again, sometimes parents are in on it and really bad in some situations,
yeah.
but
But a lot of
but
the time they just don't know. Also, it's been so romanticized, like the industry has been so romanticized, especially
yeah,
the TV industry. And it's only now come to the attention of so many people how bad it is. But back
yeah,
then, back in the 90s, it was like you're in Hollywood, you've made it.
mhm,
Like we're going to do everything we can to make sure you make it as a
yeah.
kid.
And just the culture back then too.
Mhm.
Like the
Yeah.
Hollywood culture
Yeah.
was very different
Yeah.
on everything.
Yeah. From my experience as a theater kid growing up, so I did dance, I did Irish dance, I did ballet, I did tap. I did a lot of different dances. I was in a very
Yeah.
small studio. All the adults there, for the most part, were like incredibly kind and sweet and patient. They all looked out for all the kids. I was 7 when I started dance, and I did it up until I was 15.
Hmm.
Um, those years were mainly at one studio, and then I moved to a bigger studio, and then I quit.
Hmm.
Um, because the bigger studio just like it was a bigger studio, but it also was not as challenging as the smaller studio was. The
Hmm.
smaller studio pushed me more and I really liked that, but the reason I left the first studio was because of some drama that happened with my friends. I'm not going to say specifics because I don't want to be putting anything out there, just in case anyone's watching this. But one of the adults, it was not my dance teacher, it was not the owner of the business, it was just one of the people that worked there,
Hmm.
was and like taught classes occasionally there, was very intense, a dance teacher, there's very intense dance teachers out there.
Hmm.
Um but it went past the typical like, oh, your body needs to look a certain way, and it was like, oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
ugly and you're not enough, and you're not good enough of a singer, and you're not good enough of a dancer, not towards me, towards one of my friends.
Hmm.
And I always knew that this teacher was very uptight. And I didn't take really any of their classes, so I never really like I took one of their classes because there was a summer musical theater program and she was a director. Like it was like one of the things she did. And so like
Yeah.
I went to her and she taught me how to deal with an uptight director. And so like I think I was like 9 or 10 probably when I did her summer deal. I learned how to take criticism that seems incredibly harsh and not take it personally. And it kind of I'm a very sensitive person, and so like I don't do well with that. Like you can ask anyone, like I cry really easily, like like Christina knows, like my emotions are very surface level. And they always have been. And
Which
so
is a
me as a
good trait.
kid,
It's a good trait.
yeah, it's a great trait. But me as a kid, I was so like ashamed of it because I felt like if I cried, especially in the dance world, I then was being a problem child. I then was a brat. And so I would try so hard to not get emotional, and I did pretty good with her. I never cried in front of her, and I would always try my best. And I was like one of the top kids in her class, so I got it way easier. I was the little blonde kid because I was a natural blonde back then. It wasn't bleached. I was the little blonde kid who was white and blonde and skinny. And so I completely understand that's why I had it so easy, is because I was what she wanted for her like main little lead in her Cinderella production thing that she did. You know, like that makes sense for like Cinderella Junior. But one of my friends, she did not get that type of treatment from her, which makes complete sense. She is not, she wasn't the like the copy paste little child. She was her own individual who had her own traits and looks, and she also was way more outspoken than me. She didn't just say yes ma'am, and that's what I did. But that could have gotten me into really bad situations where I was taken advantage of and stuff, and thankfully I wasn't. But that caused me to change studios because of how she was treated by that teacher. And she got screamed at by that teacher multiple times, not just like an Abby Lee type of situation, like a holy shit, this like I'm scared they're gonna hit her type of situation.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's why I left that studio. Even though that teacher barely taught at that studio, it was like she was like occasionally there. And the main teacher was like a sweetheart. He was like a second dad to me. Like I loved him. And it was never a like that's the thing. If I would have had that relationship that like, oh yeah, he's like a dad to me, I love him, like I was so comfortable around him. Thankfully he had a daughter and was a good father and was fatherly to me, but that could have so easily been a Dan Schneider situation where I'm Amanda Bynes in this hypothetical, and I get taken advantage of because I like hanging around him and I feel seen by him and he makes me feel special. So like there's so many layers of what could have happened if he wasn't a good guy, you know? And there were people in when I started getting a little bit older and I started going through puberty, there was a lot more of the body image stuff and that whole train wreck. And I started gaining weight, and I wasn't even gaining that much weight. It was just I was gaining weight and I had boobs and an ass now. And that was a problem because I couldn't play the little kid roles, but I also wasn't an adult, so I couldn't play the adult roles. And so I when I was like 11, I went into musical theater, and that was kind of like the last time I could play like I went to like local theater, and that was the last time I could play like a kid. And I was Mary Poppins, and I was the main little girl. I got a main role, my first ever like local like stage production, and that set me up for such gifted child syndrome because I went from being the main character to ensemble to not cast. And there's a whole other layer of the director was amazing. I think she is a great director. She's very good at her job. She's also a really nice person, but there definitely was favoritism, and not towards me, because I took vocal lessons with her briefly, but it was like a known thing that if you took vocal lessons from her, you were getting cast. And if you didn't, you weren't. And so I didn't take vocal lessons from her anymore, and that's when I stopped getting cast in things. It was because I started taking vocal lessons with another vocal teacher who was another person who I had taken vocal lessons from like years ago, and I just wanted to see him again and like start taking vocal lessons. So we're like, we're just gonna take a pause on this. Also, my parents weren't doing very well at this time financially, and she was more expensive, so like that was another reason why we went with the other vocal coach, because like they were already paying money for me to be doing something, which was just very kind of them to do regardless, because they didn't have like a ton of extra money at that time period. The recession happened. And so them just being like, yes, you can take vocal lessons, but let's go with this cheaper vocal instructor made sense. But then it got taken out on me by the director. And so I stopped getting cast and stuff, and I got really down about it, and I felt like I wasn't good enough of a singer. I always was a good dancer. Like I've always been very good at, like, I have a good rhythm. I've been doing dance for a long time. But like singing has always, and I think I'm a decent actor. I definitely think I'm a good voice actor. I'm out of practice with acting on stage, but dancing and acting were always my strong suits, and singing was always the thing that like I feel like I needed to work on. And so I understood not getting like the main roles. I didn't need to get the main roles, you know, like me getting the main roles when I was a kid, that made sense. You know, I was a good little actress, and I did what I was told, and I was a kid, you know, like, and as I got older, not getting the main roles didn't bother me that much. Yeah. Not getting casted at all is what really stung, because I was friends with the whole cast. And so it was just me getting left behind and everyone else getting casted, all because I didn't take vocal lessons with her. And I know it's because of that, because I'm not a great singer, but I can be an ensemble. Like I know I can. And I'm a good dancer. Like throw me on stage, maybe do a little dance, maybe be a background dancer, you know, like a little jester on stage, be a little goofy guy. But like it was very apparent, like, and I thought I just sucked. I thought I was just like awful. And so like you'll do anything for approval. You'll do anything for approval when you're in that space and you're young and your brain is developing. You just want positive feedback and you just want attention. Most kids at least want attention and positive feedback. And so when you're put in situations with directors or dance teachers or vocal coaches or whatever it may be, where they take advantage of that in some way or ostracize you in some way, it really affects you. And like I only recently was able to separate my worth from the amount of praise I get. Like that is a recent revelation I've come to, of feeling like it's okay if I'm not like on a billboard and if I'm not like famous, I'm still like worth life. Genuinely is like so to go from like that was just with local theater and dance. I cannot imagine the insane amount of pressure on the kids at Nickelodeon, Disney, any of those companies. Like no matter what age range or what company, already if you're just young in the spotlight, it's gonna be a lot of pressure. And there's some people that like they grow up and they love it and they aren't abused by the people backstage and they're able to thrive as an adult because they had that like almost like that landing strip to get them ready. Like Millie Bobby Brown has been very successful continuously, and she's now a producer. She owns a makeup company, so like she turned her, but she also got scrutinized a lot online. Like she like was in the spotlight and got bullied a lot online. So like there's always something when you're in the spotlight, whether it be directors or just random people online. So there's, you know, there's our little lore drop of
yes.
our dance history. But yeah, if you guys couldn't guess, I was a theater kid already. Here I am. But
I was never a theater kid. I did theater, but it was never my main thing.
Yeah,
I was
it was
always
my main thing for a bit.
I was just the dance kid.
I'm a dancer girl.
Yep. Which was always my biggest thing was always physical appearance. Was always just being the prettiest one. Physically,
a lot of competition.
Yeah. Like everything had to be perfect. Hair, face, body, speech. You could tell that was my struggle. But it was always something that I struggled with until this was like probably like mid-teens. I think I was like 14, 15 when I kind of had to not care about it as much. And then that kind of caused other issues, but it ultimately showed me to like quit. Like that was not the industry for me to be in.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. It's very hard to have that much pressure to be perfect all the time.
It's your life most of the time because that's all you know, because most of the time child actors start young.
Yeah.
And that becomes your cycle. Like that is part of you. That's part of your day, your week, your month, your year. And so taking that away, it's very disorienting also, because you don't know what to do with your life at that point. But
yeah, but we could do a whole episode on gifted child burnout. I feel like there's a whole we have it listed. I think we do. We have a lot of episodes listed, but if you guys have any ideas for episodes, feel free to comment them down below. This is the first like actual episode. The next episode, it's a little all over the place. We're finding our pattern, our rhythm. The next episode is Wattpad. Diving deep into our Wattpad histories. Yeah. That'll be coming out next week, next Tuesday. It might already be out for you guys. Who knows?
Depending on when you're watching it.
Yeah, depending on when you're watching this. Also, we filmed this before this one and before I had announced I was engaged. So if I say boyfriend at any point in that is why. So yeah, that one was filmed out of chronological order.
Yeah, we've been picking and choosing what we want to film. Yeah. So, you know, but if there's anything that we touched on today that you would like us to talk more about, or you're interested, or like advice, mind you, this podcast, as you probably saw from our intro episode, if you have watched it, if you haven't, go watch it. It's kind of just like a big sister friend talk about sit down advice kind of thing. Take what you want, leave what you don't.
And there's no judgment. There's no judgment here. So
it's just opinions and speculation and allegedly. You know, and you know, a lot of times we're speaking from personal experience, and everyone's experience is different with things, so nobody's opinions are going to be exactly the same. But if there's anything you want us to talk about more, leave a comment. Or even if you want us to just talk about, like, honestly, because we did just a little bit, I think a good topic, girl gamer syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Girl gamer syndrome. I feel like that's a relevant topic to us.
That is a relevant topic.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had so much fun.
Make sure to rate us if you're watching this or listening rather on a podcasting platform. You can watch us on YouTube at sheknowsit pod, I believe, is our ad on YouTube. I don't know. She knows it with Alex and Izzie. Just look it up. You'll find us. And we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram.
Yeah,
for updates,
exactly.
Behind the scenes updates. So, yeah. We'll see you guys around, though. Goodbye.
Bye.